Another day, another dollar, bud.
All day. Yeah.
All right, ready?
Yeah.
And welcome everybody back to a different conversation. This is the Built Different Show, episode 103. As always, I'm here with my guy Kem. I'm your host Thomas Saxby. Let's dive right into it. Kem, what is on top of your mind? How's everything going? How are you, King?
Oh man, first I gotta say happy Saturday to you, my guy. You know what I
Yes.
mean? And listen,
Long
man,
work
I
week,
want
man.
yes, long work week, man. Happy that it's over. I had a few days off, but I kind of cheated the work week, to be honest. I came in on off of having some PTO, man, then came back for 3 days, and I'm off with a new schedule that started March 1st, which now gives me Fridays and Saturdays off. So
There
look
you go.
forward to, us bringing more content to the folks, man, and making the people happy. Make sure y'all like, comment, and subscribe. Always send your ideas and comment, man. We love those things. Now let's get this thing cracking right away. Now, with today being Saturday, man, we got I'm going to just go online right now and say we have the fight of the year about to take place. Now, you guys know that we normally talk about basketball, baseball, and football the majority of the times. But one of the things that I want to let you guys know about myself is that I love the sweet science. And as it comes to the sweet science right now, we got a great fight that has a great narrative happening today. We got Gervonta Tank Davis at 30-0 with 28 knockouts facing an adversary, man, a guy that he's been fighting since they were young. I'm talking about in the junior pros and amateurs and everything like that at 25-1. Okay, they're going to be fighting tonight in Barclays. We know that's home for us in the great state of New York. One of the great things about that, I don't like, well, let's talk about numbers real quick. This guy, the last time he fought in New York in the Barclays, he's actually breaking records. That is the largest gate that was ever taken there. And we know that the Liberty just won a championship there. So that's
Yeah.
amazing. We know that the city is going to be lit tonight, but let's get into the fight. As it pertains to the fight, I'm going to just go out right now and say that I believe that this fight will be over in the seventh round. All right. In the seventh round, I'm
Okay.
looking for a
Kim's giving me a
KO
parlay.
by Tank. All right. I'm looking for a KO by Tank. Now, let me just get into it real quick, though, before I give it over to you, man. The narrative on this is very, very cool. For all of our 95 people, everybody who traveled 95, man, this is a battle of the DMV. We got a guy from DC and a guy from Baltimore. And everybody that traveled to 95 already know everything from VA up to Connecticut is already connected. And we're trying our best to beat each other out for the best in whatever we do. So it's going to be a cool fight, man. And knowing that these two guys have fought twice already, again, as I said earlier, Gervonta Davis won both times. But what was cool about the first fight that they had was Lamont Roach and his team complained so much that they sent the tape, you know what I mean, to the Olympic Committee and actually got a nod to get into it, but then they lost to Tank again. You understand what I'm saying? So there's a lot of built up stuff. This guy is a good fighter, but we know what we know about Tank. You know what I mean? He is dynamite, so let's just wait and see the fireworks happen. But that's what's on my mind. As you see, bro, I'm ready to talk about that all day until 8 o'clock tonight, where I'm not going to be there, but we definitely are getting that pay-per-view Amazon jumping off.
Hell yeah, man. Listen, so Tank's gonna win that easily. I mean, that's just it. Just is what it is.
Okay,
When it comes to
easily.
that. What I wanted to open up with is listen, man. Skip Bayless made a very interesting point yesterday. I don't know if anybody pays attention, but he's making a lot more videos on his social media. And look, he was representing, man. He said Mac McClung, Caitlin Clark, Cooper Flag are doing things white players have never been able to do. So shout out to the white. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not starting. No, what I really
Yeah,
wanted to
that was
start with,
great, bro.
I had everybody. I had everybody. No, what I really wanted to start with, man, is Travis Hunter, man. I think I'm gonna go all the way to say I think he's gonna be a bust, man. At least I don't think he's gonna be what he thinks he's gonna be or what many others think he's gonna be. Listen, he's okay on both sides of the ball. He's probably a better defender than he is a wide receiver. But for him to make comparisons to Shohei Ohtani and make all these, I just man, like you gotta prove it first. Like this whole wide receiver quarterback thing, like it's been done a couple times before. I mean, obviously not the way that he's gonna try to do it. But do it before you actually start writing your checks, man. Like I get it. He's gonna get paid well from where he's drafted because he's gonna get drafted high in the first round. There's a good chance, he's top five, whatever the case may be. But man, perform in the NFL first before you start comparing yourself to someone like Shohei Ohtani, man. And then he wants to say football is harder than baseball. And I know Kem and I might have an argument about this, but listen, man, in comparison to that, like Travis Hunter could not pitch. He couldn't even come close to pitching. Pitching is one of the hardest things to do in baseball as well as hitting. He couldn't hit a baseball either at 90 miles per hour. He cannot do any of that. But I bet you Shohei Ohtani can. I'm not saying he'd be good at it, but he could probably go out there and run around the field all game long and chase routes and try to, come up with his own routes. And he's the type of person that could, maybe figure something out there. But at the very least, in comparison, Travis Hunter could not play baseball. It wouldn't even be close. I don't even care what anybody tells me. It's not something, that's comparable in my eyes. And especially when he hasn't even, like I said, cashed that check in the
Hmm.
National Football League yet. He's got to chill, man. He's setting himself up for disaster, because when that media storm comes after him this year for some
Hmm.
bad performances, it's gonna, that's gonna get thrown in his face. The way he lets his fiance or girlfriend or whatever the hell she is run all over him, that's gonna get thrown in his face. Like, it's just been nothing but an embarrassing road so far. And he's a talented player, don't get me wrong, but like, usually when players come into the league with all this, negative energy and negative media, it doesn't set up well, especially if he goes to a, big market franchise, because we got a few of those in the top 10.
Okay. All right. All right.
Nothing.
Well, hey man, I'll be honest with you, man. I kind of agree.
Okay.
In some of the instances. Now, as it
Right.
pertains to being a two-way player, I believe that he can do it because he actually played. When you think about it, he played basically like a game and a half more than anybody else.
Right.
You know what I mean? In college, you know
Right.
what I
Right.
mean, by the amount of snaps that he played. So
Yeah.
at the end of the day, you know what I mean? Like, he's built for it. But it's just about what he's actually how he's going to be utilized in an NFL offense. It's easy to say anything that he wants to say, you know what I mean, because
Right.
of
And he's tall. He got
you know what I
that,
mean? Yeah,
to his advantage. It's just
absolutely.
my whole
But
thing with it is like, you can't compare this to like other sports or whatever, because like most of the time at wide receiver, you're only going to get the ball thrown to you X
mhm,
amount of times, and then on the
mhm.
defense, you're only going to be making a play on the ball X amount of times. It's not like every single play you're making a play on the ball, or every single,
In neither
play.
sport, in neither position that he tried to identify either.
Yeah.
Like you know what I mean, with what Shohei does and what he does, and you know what I mean. They're two different things. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So at the end
Yeah.
of the day, you know what I mean? If he doesn't play that sport, you know what I mean? There's no way to really do that because that is kind of the conversation we were having before about like the hand-eye coordination, everything as it pertains to steroids and everything with Barry Bonds. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the crew. But anyway, when it pertains to Shohei, him pitching, like he does two things very, very well. You know what I mean?
Right.
That is about baseball. So
Like
with pitching,
legendary. Well, like it's not like
yes,
that's
man.
never been
Like,
done ever.
no, not
People
at
can
all.
bring up
So
Babe Ruth, but it's really not been done
yeah,
at
no,
all.
it's not been doing. Not that we've
Yeah.
ever witnessed. So at the end of the day, I don't have too much to say on that one for sure.
Awesome. So let's move into some recent headlines. So, on the Spurs side of things, unfortunately, Victor Wembenyama is out for the season with a blood clot in his shoulder. Greg Popovich is out. He had I think it was a mild stroke, it was considered.
Hmm.
So they're both going to be out for the season. So we can kind of, cross out the Spurs. What's your take on, Wemby, Pop, any of that?
Well, the oldest coach and the winningest coach in the NBA, and the youngest player to achieve most of the feats that he's achieved on the defensive side of the ball and things of that nature. Man, heartfelt for Pop. But what it looks like, you know what I mean? Everybody seems to be in the tanking for Cooper Flag sweepstakes.
Right.
I don't believe he's going to make it there. At the end of the day, I believe with the height that Wembenyama possesses at what 7'5", You know what I mean? We're going to have problems throughout his career anyway.
Right.
I'm happy that it's something that is manageable, that was detected. You know what I mean? But this is on par for the course. You know what I mean?
It happens to tall people, tall
Yeah, that's right.
players.
It's on par for the course for that's what I'm alluding to for his size.
Yeah.
Now, normally it's a lower body thing with these guys. You know what I mean? So for it to be a blood clot in the shoulder, you know what I mean? That's kind of, you know what I mean, weird. And I'm hoping that, you know what I mean, again, I'm hoping that he's really okay.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's something that is managed so that it doesn't hinder his career and his trajectory that he has in the NBA. But again, man, it's something, yeah, man, it's heartfelt for both of them. You know what I mean? At the end, mostly for Pop, you know what I mean? Because we're in an era now where you would think that what is going on with Wemby would be something that Pop would have done, you know what I mean, before,
Yeah.
you know what I mean, as far as restrictions and load management and things like that. Knowing that they're not going to get anywhere, but knowing that they got the Aaron Fox, I can't look at this as a tank situation. You know what I mean? This is something that they believe that they have to do, you know what I mean, in order to get him better for his foreseeable future.
Yeah, man. I mean, prayers out to Pop. I hope he makes, the full recovery that, everyone's looking for, of course. Wembenyama, it was just crazy because we was just talking about, getting De'Aaron Fox,
Hmm.
perfect running mate. The Spurs
Hmm.
offense seems to be running, fluidly. And then, just in the matter that was a couple days apart between
Yeah.
Popovich's health issues and
Yeah.
Wembenyama going down for the year.
Hmm.
Um, at the end of the day, you don't want to see your star player get injured, but at the same time, I don't think that they had a shot at winning the championship this year. So it
Right.
might be better for them to, get as high of a draft pick as they can.
Hmm.
Shut down Wemby. Don't take a chance with that. But overall, yeah, I mean, it's just like you said, like he's 7'5". So, for what he personally has to do to keep his body healthy has to be insane because I know the taller
Hmm.
you get and the more you weigh, the more you have to eat and the more you have to watch your protein levels and carb levels and
Hmm.
that whole sort of thing. So it's going to be interesting to see how he actually does moving forward. If anything, I feel like a lot more people need to figure out what Giannis is doing over there in Milwaukee to
Hmm.
keep himself so healthy. I mean, I know he's had these times at the end of seasons where he's like so banged up. But overall, I think we can say that Giannis has been a very healthy player, and for his frame and how he came into the league, very tall and skinny, to
Hmm.
now him being like this, like basically like a superhero, how athletic and built he is. I think Wemby can take, maybe some tips from him or LeBron. I think
Hmm.
he's smart. I mean, he's very educated. Wemby is more educated than a lot of people think. So I'm sure he'll go, get that, tutorship,
Without a
for
question. And one of
yeah.
the things that is really cool about him, real quick before we move on, is that that's something that even is ingrained in him already. Is about his rest and recovery. So he knows that he needs
Right.
to recover. He knows that his recovery regimen is the number one thing. You know what I mean? Because his game is his game. He's going. You know what I mean? He knows how to play basketball. He's going to continue to get better. He has
Yeah.
to play against the competition to
Absolutely.
figure out the competition. His
He's
number one.
ridiculous.
It's about the recovery and understanding what he needs to do with his body to get longevity and not have some of the issues that are associated with being as tall as
Right.
he is and how you just explained. So it's really cool to know that as young as he is, and again to highlight, how intelligent he already knows what that is.
Yeah.
And looking at LeBron and these guys, man, come on, stop playing it. To
Yeah.
be quote unquote considered one of the faces and not actually be serious about taking care of your body, you know what I mean? Like it
Yeah.
doesn't mix.
And and the last thing that I'll say, especially in regards to Wemby and the Spurs, injuries sometimes are a blessing in disguise. I mean, obviously, you don't want to sit here and root for injuries, but when they happen, like the Spurs, they get a chance to kind of evaluate the rest of this roster. They get to like Stephon Castle is starting to really play some really amazing basketball.
Hmm.
Other things like, they can get more of a look on Keldon Johnson, Devin Vassell, see if those are pieces that they want to move in the offseason or if they want to keep them around for next year. They could try to
Right.
convince De'Aaron Fox to take a contract into the next several years. That whole thing. They can they basically get a head start on their offseason. Like I said, I don't think they'll mail it in all the way, but at the very least, they can start evaluating their options moving
Hmm.
forward because Wemby's a generational player. Like I think Wemby's going to be hard to stop here soon. He's almost done maturing. He's almost done. He's almost reaching that point. to what he's going to be moving forward. And once he reaches that, he's going to be pretty unstoppable, man. Like 7'5", shooting, dribbling the ball, getting in the paint, also giving it all on his defense. It's going to be a beauty to watch moving forward. So I hope both of them make a really good recovery, moving forward here. So the Rams, what we were supposed to talk about is we were supposed to talk about here where Matt Stafford is going, but
Mm-hmm.
as of yesterday, Matt Stafford has locked back in with the Los
He's staying
Angeles
home.
Rams, man.
Yeah, he's
I
staying
don't really
home.
have too much of an opinion on it,
Nah.
just because I mean, the only thing I'll say is I feel like the Rams should break it down. They should rebuild, but at the same time, when you get what you get out of Puka Nacua, you got Kyren Williams there at running. It's not a bad team, and you've seen how far Matt Stafford took them. Last year, like it looked like they could have gone on a Cinderella run. I mean, they were one thing happening away from even beating the Eagles. Like they were there all the way to the end of the game. It's just Saquon lost his mind in that fourth quarter. But overall, I think it's cool. I mean, the legend of Matt Stafford and the Rams continues. He's not going to be on some random team next year. So, hey, I think I'm here for it.
Yeah, it was nothing. It was nothing there. I appreciate the fodder of him and Tom Brady going to Montana and skiing and all that. You know what I mean? Like that was pretty fun
Yeah,
to find out. But at the end of the day, it would have made sense though. Come on, man. First and foremost, like I want to say something. Without all the Super Bowls and everything, Matt Stafford is one of the greatest quarterbacks in NFL history, and
I
the
can agree
arm
with that.
angles, the ability to how he's able to deliver the ball, where he's able to put the ball,
I
to who
agree.
he's played with. Now, and what was crazy in all of the interest in him, it was kind of dope when thinking about the Raiders because he's set in how old he is and still playing in a dome. You know what I mean? Would have suited him anyway. I was just
Even
hoping that it
after
wouldn't have.
those, yeah, after all those
Yeah,
the concussion
Abs-
scares too and everything.
absolutely. I just would have hoped that it wouldn't have been like the Giants or any of those other teams like Pittsburgh or anything like that, where, you know what I mean, it wouldn't have been better and it just would have been about a month.
Yeah,
He's already one of the highest paid players ever play in the NFL as well. So at the end of the day, you understand what I'm saying? So it's really cool, man, to actually watch this story because this is actually where talent, you know what I mean? You are yesterday's price is not today's price, and his talent has not diminished in any kind of way. You know what I mean? So
yep.
it's really, really cool, man, to be able to still have this leverage at his age, man, and playing still at peak performance any given Sunday.
Yeah, and he's gonna start traveling up a lot of these all time lists, a lot
Without a
of
question.
stats. I think
But
I
you
think
heard it
he
here first.
basically, I think this contract, I don't know if he'll retire after. It depends how he's looking by the end of the
Hmm.
contract. But
Hmm.
I think at the very least, I think he's capping off his Hall of Fame career here. I think he's absolutely a Hall of Famer. Got that
Without a
ring
question.
in a tough
Without a
era.
question.
We're talking about,
Without a
in an
question.
era, with Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady still,
Hmm.
everybody's still. And I get it. He didn't face Patrick Mahomes at the end because Joe Burrow took care of that. But winning a ring in this era has proven to be very hard for a lot of players to do. I mean, we're still talking about the Bills don't have one, the Ravens don't have one, the 49ers
Hmm.
don't. Like all these great teams still don't have a ring, and that's just because
Hmm.
of how I can attest to how, hard it's been to just win a ring these
Yes.
days.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem like there's no luck involved anymore. I mean, we see runs, back in the day that seem like very Cinderella, very,
Hmm.
sometimes out of the blue, but we're not getting those out of the blue,
No.
championship runs anymore.
Hmm.
So yeah, um, baseball, right? A little bit of baseball. So MLB and ESPN have canceled their contract after the 2025 season because the baseball's commissioner felt disrespected of the lack of coverage on ESPN. How do you feel
Hmm.
about it? I feel like I have a strong opinion here, but I want to hear what
Uh-huh.
you have to say first.
So yeah, no problem, man. This is something that I wanted to get into because I was kind of as we've been recording and doing our thing here. Again, guys, make sure y'all like, comment, subscribe, sending your ideas, man. We love it all. Yo, man, one of the things we talked about was how the pitch clock and everything like that enhanced viewership with the MLB. The shortness of the games. I even had a couple of experience myself where I went to games, went to get a hot dog. You know what I
Got a
mean?
good
Like
time.
it's
Yeah,
just not the same how it was anymore. You know what I mean? With the games dragging out. You know what I mean? And you could miss something in a game, which is so great, which is one of the most exciting parts of going to see sports anyway. Nobody wants to get up until halftime. You know what I mean? Those different things. And we already know it's an inning thing as it pertains to the MLB. But what I will say is I believe that this also not only do I believe that they're not supported enough. I just don't believe that they have gained enough young viewers. I believe as it pertains to entertainment and everything like that, it's about the young people tapping in more than it's about the old staple or the blue blood of the actual organization ship. You know what I mean? Because
Right.
the youth grow out of that kind of thing and don't care about the history of it more than the entertainment value that is going to take them to the history. You understand what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I understand. And then thinking about the new contract with the NBA and the $77 billion that spread across all of the different platforms, there's no question, you know what I mean, that we're going to see more NBA on ESPN, you know what I mean, and other sports. But
Yeah, that
I
big
don't
deal
know.
that they just got it themselves
Yeah,
into.
like without a question. So at the end of the day, man, that's how I feel about it. But I'd love to hear, you know what I mean, what you have to say as well about it. But that's
Yeah,
definitely.
I mean,
Mhm,
so this is another thing where I'm kind of just on both sides of the fence when it
mhm,
comes to this because, on one side, I like that MLB is taking a stand because I do feel like MLB has taken the right steps to get more coverage. I
mhm,
feel like they've
mhm,
they've done what they needed to do. That I think they've made the game faster. They have stars
mhm,
that can, Shohei Otani, right? Aaron
mhm,
Judge, Mookie
mhm,
Betts, Ronald Acuna,
mhm,
Tatis, like
mhm,
MLB for the first time in a little bit is like oozing with not only stars, but stars that are relatable to a lot of people, but also at the same time stars that we can love again. Like we're
mhm,
in a phase of baseball where there is so many options of players to like again when for a little bit there all we really had was like Mike Trout and Bryce Harper. Mike Trout's not the most vocal guy. Bryce Harper is kind of vocal, but everyone sees him to be as being an asshole. You know what I mean? So
Yep.
we got all these players now. I think MLB has done a great job of growing. I just don't necessarily think canceling the contract with ESPN hurts. I mean, I,
Mhm,
I don't think it helps because, like, I think any coverage is good coverage, and
mhm,
a lot of people just tune into ESPN just to tune in ESPN, and I get it's
mhm,
not the most coverage in the world, but Sunday
mhm.
Night Baseball, other baseball games being on there, people still tune into that.
Yeah.
And guys like me that just randomly watch ESPN just to watch it. But I will say, like, I
And
like that someone's taking a stand to ESPN. You know what I mean? I think
mhm,
ESPN has lost their way. Like ESPN is definitely like it's still the number one sports network, whatever.
mhm,
But at the same time, like they've declined in quality. They've declined
mhm,
in the actual analysts that are on ESPN. They've declined almost all the way across the board. They have all these scandals going on, behind the scenes, all this stuff, and I don't know. I'm kind of like I said, I'm in the middle because at the end of the day, any coverage is good coverage, but at the same time, I like someone's taking a stance to the ESPN because like, it won't be NBA, NBA and ESPN. They're locked in for a very long
yeah,
time on a very
exactly.
expensive.
And you
So
also got to think, man. You got to think that a lot of people get their content through social or through, you know
yeah,
what I mean, through, you know what I mean, through apps.
exactly,
You know what I
exactly.
mean? So when knowing that people ingest their content through apps and the length of baseball games, that's a longer game than the average thing that's on ESPN besides the actual programming that they have. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't know if that had, you know what I mean? Like there's a lot. Thinking about what you're saying about the taking a stance against ESPN. Listen, man, I do believe that. You did say the last thing as well is that like we any coverage is good coverage. So people don't watch TV, you know what I mean?
Right.
And knowing that
Yep.
people get the most of their content online, you know what I mean? Like MLB does need an outlet besides because NBA rules online, you know what I mean? As
Yeah.
far as
Yeah.
it rules online
Yeah.
as far as content. So at the end of the day, it got to find its way in somewhere.
Yeah. Absolutely. So hey, man, that was a good conversation, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
So yeah, make sure you guys subscribe, leave some feedback. Like Cam said, we're always looking for some good ideas out there. So moving on to one of our major segments, Joel Embiid is out for the season. This whole
Yeah.
76ers thing has been one of the biggest dumpster fires I have ever seen in my entire life. I'll let you open up. What's your initial opinions before we really, go back and
Man,
forth and
who
talk
are
about
you
this as a
telling?
whole?
Dumpster fire ain't the word. You understand what I'm saying? I mean, after this guy going to do everything to get his citizenship, to play with the USA team, to bring back the gold, like, and everybody watching the Olympics, already knew what was going to happen following the Olympics with Joel Embiid. For some strange reason, the Philadelphia 76ers gave him more money, signed Paul George, and decided to just let Maxey empty out his tank. I don't
Yeah.
know what's going on with Paul George. Over the past couple games, he's hit a couple of good shots here and there. I mean, but again, with what's going on with, you know what I mean? Because, man, I'll start just
I don't know.
dissecting.
Like the mention of Paul George just makes me
Yes,
sick.
and then that's what I was about to say. That just I'm supposed to stay on Joel Embiid, but just the whole thing that is going on with the Philadelphia 76ers, it is horrible. Listen, man, I'm not going to get mad at Joel Embiid for getting a bag, but I'm mad at Philadelphia 76ers for actually not understanding the process. Like Philadelphia is scam central. How the hell they didn't know that Joel Embiid was scamming them? You understand what I'm saying? With his body. Come on, man. It just doesn't make any sense, man. It just doesn't. It's one of the biggest money grabs I've ever seen. It is driving me crazy. You know, I don't really even like to do this, but with what's going on with him, this is a straight robbery, man. Like, how the hell, who does he have in the organization? I know, you know what I mean? Like, Daryl Morey was running shit over there and they got Elton Brand down in a lower position while they had Daryl Morey over there. But it wasn't looking like this when they handed it over to Elton Brand. And I believe that Elton Brand would have made a decision different than what has been made, you know what I mean, over these past couple of decisions with Joel Embiid. This shit is crazy, man. Winning the Super Bowl like that. Listen, man, and listen, like I told you, I can go on for days for the people that I know and the people I was raised with who are hardcore Philadelphians and Philadelphian fans. I know that it doesn't matter to them that Philadelphia won a Super Bowl and the Sixers are this shitty and the Phillies are always in contention. It's not mixing for them. Just like it shouldn't mix for anybody else watching that shit. And that's what I have to say.
Yeah, man. So the 76ers, right? There is a at this point, like I feel like we can do a whole episode on how this franchise has gone since 2013. I'll say that's when they had that very hilarious year where Michael Carter Williams was their best player as a rookie, and how they ended up in contention for all these picks. I mean, first off, I will say I think that with the 76ers, it is a gigantic load of karma. If anyone doesn't believe in karma, you can go and look at the 76ers in 2025 and you can view their
Mm,
karma. Listen, this is everything that it goes all, like I said, all the way back to 2013 where they were purposely tanking, purposely taking players and letting them be on the shelf for a year so that they can keep tanking. I mean, come on. Let's go down the list. And this is before I even get to Joel Embiid, but Michael Carter Williams, 2013 first round pick, whatever. But Joel Embiid was the pick the next year after. And don't forget, he missed the first 2 years of his career because of their poor injury management, man. Like that's what it also boils down to is poor injury management. I get it. Joel Embiid is not the most healthiest player, but I cannot put all the blame on Joel Embiid. I have to put more blame on the 76ers organization because like I said, first 2 years he was out. Then last year he was out again with the knee injury, tries to play through and you see his knee is all fucking bent and bleeding and battered up. He should not have even been playing those games. You knew damn well that the 76ers had no shot at winning an NBA championship unless Joel Embiid is fine. And you threw him out there. And I honestly think it should be at least a little bit investigated. I know at the end of the day, Joel Embiid, he always wants to play. I don't think Joel Embiid wants to sit there and not play and take the money. He wants to play. And that was proof of it last year in the playoffs. I think at the end of the day, 76ers should have been like, yo, you have a serious knee injury. You shouldn't be playing. I don't know, they should not have thrown him on the court. But anyway, going down the list, Embiid misses the first 2 years. Who did they pick up next year? Jahlil Okafor also had major injury issues, never panned out, and that was another confusing thing because he was a really talented player, and
hmm
for that time and era, he was a perfect center for that time. The next year after that, Ben Simmons, he also, missed the first year of his career with a foot injury that a lot of people were kind of questioning because he probably shouldn't have missed that whole year. I forgot when he was drafted, but I'm missing Nerlens Noel in there as well. Nerlens Noel missed the first year of his career. I mean, I think he got injured in college, but the 76ers, he was supposed to come back. They let him be shelved for the whole year. And this is all in the name of tanking, in the name of better player
The
development.
process. The
Shit,
process is what it was called.
year after that, Markelle Fultz misses the whole first year of his career. For whatever reason, he went from being able to shoot in college to coming in the NBA, and they fucked up his shot, fucked up his confidence, ruined his career. These are a lot of names of careers that they have ruined. I mean, when it comes to Ben Simmons, I get it, all the stuff that Ben Simmons inflicted upon himself. But when it came to the media, when it came to everything just tearing him apart for everything that he did towards the end, I have to put a lot of blame on the 76ers as well, man. And then after that, they draft Mikal Bridges, trade him, and then they haven't really done much in the draft since then besides getting Maxey and Jared McCain. But this is a whole load of karma. The players that have been in here. We're talking about Jimmy Butler, Tobias Harris. We're talking about James Harden. Like all the players that have put on a 76ers jersey and they have nothing to show for it. All them losses, all them injuries, all of everything. They have nothing to show for. This is one of the worst showcases of how to run your franchise of all time. And it's been run by like three different people in that time period. But man, is it bad. And it's like you said, you got Paul George out here. You gave Paul George a max. And I think everybody in this world knew not to give Paul George a max. He was not a max player when you gave him the contract. He's coming off of, having to get both of his knees repaired on, both of his shoulders repaired on. We're talking about a guy that, he's not the Paul George that we come to love. And it's very sad seeing him on this court right now because he should not be having these max contract expectations. It's just if you get that contract, you have to play that contract, or it's not worth it. But it's a disaster, and it sucks because a lot of careers got ruined because of it. A lot of
Yeah.
careers.
Horrible, man. Hurt my feelings. I got to get myself together before we move on. That's one of the literally, man. That's one
And
of
that's what I'm
the
saying. When I think of
yeah,
that, when I think of
yeah.
everything that went into the current product that's on the floor, when you think of the Okafors and the Nerlens Noels and the Ben Simmons and all that, like it's
Hmm.
just it feels like it's being ran, but also not ran at all, and it's
Yeah.
just it's
Hmm.
awful. And yeah, the Paul George thing, I just can't move on from it so fast. It's sad
Hmm.
because we're talking about a guy that like he was like LeBron's pain in the ass when he when he was on the Pacers. And I get
Yep.
it, he had that freak injury, but he came back from it. He was an MVP candidate
Yep.
in OKC.
Yep.
Um, didn't do nothing for the Clippers, but like that alone, you shouldn't. I don't feel like any team should have given him a max contract. But of course, it was the 76ers to do it. You know, of all
Dreaming.
teams in the NBA, of course, it was going to be the 76ers.
They dreaming, and burning out Tyrese Maxey, man, getting the bet. You know what I mean? Like, and
Man,
all they have to do is just pair him with something, And I'm sure that was the expectation with Paul George. But again, I don't know who's making the decisions. I don't, you know what I mean? Like I know, but at the
yeah,
end of the day, it's crazy the decisions that's being made. I know that what is available, you can work with what's available and everything like that. But there are also in danger of losing this top six pick to OKC again. Like, you know what I mean?
yeah.
OKC can gain a whole nother pick through them as well. So it's crazy, bro. It's
And then
amazing
on
what they
top of
have
that, they
going
got
on
they
out there.
got Nick Nurse coaching this disaster, and
It's
he's a fantastic coach who's probably going to get fired for no good reason at the end of the year.
Amen.
But yeah, let's move on. That's
Sure.
sad. But
Thank you.
I mean,
Hmm.
I don't. Last thing I'll say because it's mostly about Joel Embiid being out for the season.
Hmm.
I'm sad because when Joel Embiid is on that court, I it's hard to put people above him when he's on the court
That's a
because we're
fact.
talking
That
we're
is a
talking about
fact.
a guy that can put up 40 points, 15
Yes.
rebounds, 5
Yes.
assists,
Hmm.
blocks, good defense, taking
Yeah.
over at the end of the game, absolutely unstoppable. Like I
Yes.
think last year before he hurt his knee, like he
Yes.
was the numbers that he was putting up were out of this world. That's why I was
That's
ready to
why this
crown
is
him
a
again.
robbery. That's why this is
Yeah.
a robbery and a scam. Because at the end of the day, he was hurt through all of that shit, bro. He was hurt through all of it. He was
Yeah,
hurt
I
through
think
all of it.
he's been hurt for the
Yes,
last
he's
like
been
10
hurt.
years of his
Yes,
life.
he's been hurt, right? So, boom, he's been hurt through all of it and then goes and plays in the most prestigious free event of all time, the Olympics. That shit is free. You
I
understand?
forgot about that. Yeah. That's
Yes, that
another
shit is
thing.
free. And now came back, made the
And he had
Sixers
no
pay
business
him.
being on the USA team
Yes,
either.
had the US listen, came back, had the Sixers pay him, and you know what I mean, escaped to make it to the Olympics, you know what I mean, because of course we wanted to make sure we ensured the gold. But come on, man, this is crazy, man. It's horrible, man. And like I said, no harm against him because again, you highlighted a very good point. He's doing everything that we know about him. He did hurt.
Yeah.
He's done hurt. So if he is to get in shape, we already know he's arguably one of the best in the NBA, but he's never going to get there again. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Hopefully he
unfortunately. I
does,
think like
but unfortunately, yeah, he's
I
probably not
think
going to.
they're not I don't think there's too much honesty going on when it comes to
Yep.
the reporting of his injury because I think
Yep.
this injury is so significant to the point where he missed all that time last year, how beaten up he was in the playoffs, and then
Yes.
how much time, like he's basically missed the whole season this year. I mean,
Yes.
I don't know how many games he's played so far this year. I think it's around 20 if I'm not mistaken. But
Let's
yeah, I
go.
mean, at the end of the day, it's like you said, like this whole organization is just one big. He played 19 games this year and
Yeah.
39 games last year with this. It's the same injury. The
Hmm.
same injury has kept him
Yes.
out. We're talking 100 games between these 2
Yes,
years
bro.
now. It's
Yes. It's a robbery.
it's insane, man. These players make a lot of money to not play.
Yeah.
But a good segue here.
Hmm.
What do you think? And you might, and I really love this segment because I think
Hmm.
you might have a little bit more insight because you have a lot of knowledge of some of the back in the day
Hmm.
franchises. So I'm interested
Hmm.
in hearing your list.
Hmm.
Who are the top three biggest franchise busts of all time? Now, when I say that, I don't mean a specific year, but like a time
Hmm.
period
Yeah.
when a team got their shit together.
Yeah.
I wanna. Do you want
You
do you
go
want my list
first.
first?
Yes.
All
Hmm.
right, cool. So, number three,
Hmm.
I do have the 76ers from what we just talked about.
Yeah. Okay.
I think it's been disgusting, man. It's at the end of the day, I feel like they'll be number one on this list based on how this all goes. Because I have a good feeling Joel Embiid finally gets free from the 76ers and has like a good ending to his career. I don't think
Okay.
he'll get back to the same level, but I think he'll go to a team. They'll
Okay.
know how to treat him a little bit. Because if he goes
Okay.
to like I'm not saying that he'll ever go to the Celtics or he'll ever go to the
Right.
Lakers, something like
Right.
that. But if he gets to a franchise that like can help take care of him and
Hmm.
not just be this rough, throw it all out there franchise, I think that, he'll have a good run and then the 76ers are going to look even worse. But
Okay.
honorable mention, I know I should have hit that first, but I have the Suns every year since being in the NBA. I think
Okay.
they're one of the franchises that like have a good all-time team. If you put all the players that have ever played in their franchise on one team, they've blown a lot of bags. But
Yeah.
number two, I got the Thunder with KD, Westbrook, and Harden. Like I get they got to the
Nice.
finals. I get they made, but they didn't win, man. And I thought like as a franchise for OKC, I feel like they should have done everything humanly possible to keep Kevin Durant. And I also thought they should have tried to keep James Harden. I get it; they were a small market team when it happened. He was going to
Yeah.
command a big deal. But
Yeah.
I think at the end of the day, they could have made a little bit more effort. I would have given them the deal and just figured shit out after that because those three
Hmm.
players alone. And I get it. We don't know what Harden was going to become, but we had shades of it. We knew that he was going to be a dog in the right situation, and he went to the right situation in Houston. I just think it's a blown and people can blame it on KD. They can blame it on Westbrook being crazy tornado with a ball like running through a
Hmm.
wall like that kind of thing. But I
Uh-huh.
also think it's the franchise. I think like they could have done a little bit more to keep them three together. It's
Okay.
not often we shit on the Thunder on this podcast. And number one, I got the Los Angeles Clippers, and I'm combining the time that they had Doc Rivers and Chris Paul and them into the time where they had Kawhi and Paul George and them. Because, like, we could talk about the 76ers all we want, but the Clippers, I mean, with everything that's gone on, you talk about scams. The scam that is
Hmm.
Kawhi Leonard on the Clippers has
Hmm.
been a pretty significant scam in
Yeah.
itself.
Good call. I don't have nothing. I don't have no problem with
I mean, I think,
Good
like,
call.
when
I
they had
agree.
Chris Paul and they had the monster that was Blake Griffin.
Hmm.
By the way, very underrated. Like, if you guys, like, wanna see some good basketball, definitely see Blake Griffin in his prime. Lob City and all that, they were probably one good free agent away from running the board. But that it was blown. It was blown by front office. It was blown by Doc Rivers.
Yeah.
And then you go into this, you had a crazy team put together with Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. It looked like a team that should have won one, and they didn't even
Hmm.
come close. They did not come close at all.
Okay.
I think one of those years without Kawhi, they made it to the Western Conference Finals, but we knew that
Okay.
they weren't gonna fucking win it.
Uh-huh.
So it didn't matter as much as they were celebrating it. I don't think it
Uh-huh.
mattered. But that's my list, man. I
Wow, you
feel like
surprised me that you didn't bring one in there. I am really surprised. I was thinking about one that when I was doing it all today, I was kind of surprised. Well, I'm surprised now
yeah.
in hearing your list when I was getting mine together today. And I had to put this one on here because now this is gonna be my number three, but I'll go to my honorable mention first. So my honorable mention is going to be the 2005-2006 Dallas Mavericks, who were up 2-0 on the Miami Heat.
Ooh.
All right, that's going to be my honorable
Isn't that the
mention.
same time frame where they lost to the eighth seed Warriors too?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Yes, sir. It was starting to, you know what I mean? It was about to be over.
Dirk could have gotten a lot. Yeah, I agree.
Hmm.
Dirk could have gotten a couple more rings. Yeah.
Absolutely. So my number three is going to be what I am surprised that you did not select. That's going to be the 2015-16 Golden State Warriors, who went 73-9, best record in NBA history,
Yeah.
to get stopped by
I mean,
LeBron James and the
I
Cleveland Cavaliers. That was LeBron James dragged Dellavedova and Kyrie. Well, Kyrie and LeBron, that team that they had and who they beat. Not Dellavedova, you know what I'm saying.
dive. No,
You know, but yeah, like come on, bro. That was a
I don't.
crazy
So two opinions on that. I mean, one,
what?
I don't think it was truly a like they should
That's
have
a
won the
bust.
championship.
That's a
I
bust.
just
That's a
when
bust.
you have the best record in history
Yeah, that's a
and you
bust.
get to the finals and you get to game 7, I think there's more busts than that are bust worthy than that.
I'm gonna give you another
Um,
bust after that.
but that's my second opinion on that is I don't know. It'll be another topic for a different day, but like I have so many opinions on the conspiracy of that playoffs, but go ahead.
Okay, okay. I wasn't expecting that. All right.
Yeah.
So next, I got to go with the home team. Sorry, guys. Listen, man, we don't win them all, but I got to go with our 203, 204 with the Stars. I mean, of course, man. You
If they would
remember
have
the
just
Stars?
kept Shaq and Kobe together,
Yeah,
man.
and that's what did
Yeah.
it right there. Kobe going through what he went through that year. You know what I mean? We had all those stars. And then, man, remember, man, those boys that we ran into that year, the bad boy Pistons, man, Chauncey Billups, Rip Hamilton, uh, Tyson Prince, Ben Wallace, Rasheed Wallace.
I'll always love that
Uh,
they just randomly got that fucking ring. I love it.
Yo, bro, like, but that squad was like a bunch of hard nosed pits. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, it was crazy, and it was like we got put into a blender. Like, you know what I mean? It was crazy. You know what I mean? Now, for number one, I'm going to surprise you, but this is crazy because this is the basketball fans type of pick.
Okay.
1992, the first ever Dream Team was assembled, and we achieved gold. Right?
Okay.
Charles Barkley was at his prime. Michael Jordan was still Michael Jordan, but Chuck came out of Olympics on one something serious. 92-93 season, you mentioned these guys having a collection of some of the greatest NBA teams.
Feel me?
He won the MVP that year, and this is why Charles Barkley doesn't have a ring. The 92-93 season when they lost to the Chicago Bulls. Crazy.
Yeah.
Check it out.
That's what I'm
If you
saying.
want,
Like when
even if you
you
speed clip it, bro, it's crazy to see the Olympics again, like how we have Embiid going out this season, but seeing Mike and them boys go crazy and seeing how Chuck is and how the season played out for Chuck. And I was a young boy, you know what I mean? And I'm Mike at this time, but watching Chuck get busy and knowing how much he wanted it, I have to say that that's a bust. You understand what I'm
I mean,
saying?
because you
That
think it
he
now, like
actually
Charles
didn't win
Barkley
it.
is probably like the greatest player to not win a ring.
Yes, man. That's why I
So
have to put that
and
as a
that's that
bust.
opportunity to look back on. All right, I
Yeah.
fuck with it.
Hmm.
Hell yeah. So moving on, the Detroit Pistons, man.
That's kind
They
of
are
funny. We
on
just
the
talked about
fucking rise. The
it.
Detroit Pistons are on the rise.
Mm-hmm.
Another team that's on a rise that's been very, cool to watch this year, the Houston Rockets.
Mm-hmm.
So my question to you for this segment
Mm-hmm.
is give me some insight on both, how you're feeling
Okay.
about both franchises, and then tell
Okay.
me which one you think has the better future.
Great. All right. No question. Now, this is probably going to mess with a lot of people's head. So I'm going to start right off with Detroit. All right.
Okay.
I believe Detroit has a better future ahead. Now, I love, now, and I'm going to go back and forth as I'm explaining my topic, and explaining my answer as it's going to give you some of the tea on both teams, on how I feel about both teams. Now, I love Jalen Green. We love the collection of that whole team that they got running. I'm talking about Dylan Brooks. I'm loving all of it. Okay. Van Vliet, I'm loving all of it. Sengun, I'm loving all of it. But as it pertains to the West Coast, right? The West Coast is a gauntlet. Okay, I know that they can outrun people right now, but as it pertains to matchup as the season go, and they had some slippage as this season has gone on in the latter part of the season, and Detroit is actually just had a stop off of an 8 game win streak. Okay, so I like how Detroit is trending upward and Houston is kind of trending downward. So it's going to lend to why I'm liking Detroit. Now, I'm also loving that they just stopped that 8 game winning streak with a loss to Detroit last night. And the crazy thing about it is they have the 18th like strength of schedule remaining. The only three things they got to do in the rest of the season is play Cleveland one more time, play Boston one more time, and play Milwaukee one more time. The rest of it is kind of easy for Detroit. So I believe they have the better future. Now, of course, we have Houston with the better record overall as it sits in the West, right? But they are in fear of being usurped by my boys any moment now. You understand what I'm saying? So that's my take on that.
Yeah, man. So, just to, break it both down, the Detroit Pistons, I'm loving it. They're finally healthy for once. This is what
Mm-hmm.
I've been like calling for the past couple
Mm-hmm.
years because they were one of those teams like, similar to the Orlando Magic where they had all this talent on the team but just no real direction, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? So, when it comes to Detroit Pistons, Cade Cunningham, what a player, right? Like he's
Nice.
developed before our eyes this year this leadership quality that's been amazing to watch every time I tune into a Pistons game, everything I hear about the Pistons. They got, one of the twins, Seward Thompson, Tobias Harris, actually, I want to give a huge shout out to Tobias Harris, man. Look,
Mm-hmm.
you know, this is another thing in regards to the 76ers organization and how toxic they are. Because literally, he goes to Detroit, and instead of being seen as the other guy, the guy that can't get it done, the guy, why the hell are we paying him so much money? He goes to Detroit and shows you exactly why they're paying him so much money. He is
Mm-hmm.
a glue player. He plays hard defense. He can give you buckets if really need be. He's averaging
Mm-hmm.
16, 17 on the
He's
season.
always averaged
And as
that.
the veteran presence on this team alongside Malik Beasley, like again, Malik Beasley growing before our eyes. Before he was a guy that, you wouldn't play every day because the scheme wouldn't fit most of the time. But now he's playing every day because he's that guy. And you surround these guys with, Cade Cunningham, Jalen
Tim
Durant,
Hardaway Jr.
Tim Hardaway Jr., yeah. Jaden Ivey's on his way back. They still, they got people in the they got, Dennis Schroeder, Paul Reed. Like the team is loaded. I think JB Bickerstaff is one of the most underrated coaches of all time because you consider what Bickerstaff was able to accomplish with the Cleveland Cavaliers. He basically got the Cleveland Cavaliers up on their feet, and then now he goes to the Detroit Pistons and gets them on their feet. So I think he needs to start being in conversations as one of the best, head coaches in the game. You know what I mean? So that collection of talent is great. Like you said, they're in the East, so they get this, a little bit of an easier path. But man, them Houston Rockets, brother, I've been singing their song for a good old 2-3 years now. Jalen Green has developed a lot. I still would like to see him shoot a little bit better. But it seems like he gets better as the season goes along. Sengun, I think, is going to be one of the top, players in the league when we talk about top players in the league going into next year. And then just the depth that they got. Like I said, they got the other twin, Amon Thompson. They're veterans, Dylan Brooks and Fred Van Vliet. They're tough. I think this team has a certain toughness about itself that I love, being especially that they're also war tested in the West. Because like you said, the West it's crazy. It's a gauntlet. So what they've been able to achieve in the West this year, I think sings to their longevity that they're going to have. Now the Pistons, I can't say too much yet because they haven't. Both teams though, like both teams haven't really had a playoff run because the Rockets didn't make it last year.
Thank you.
So when it comes to who I think is going to come out as the better team as a franchise moving forward, man, because like on one end I trust Cade Cunningham and his star power, but then on the other hand I trust the collection of players the Rockets have more. You know what? It's tough. I do think I have to agree with you. I think the Pistons are going to be that team moving forward because, like, I have to go with the star power. Like, Cade Cunningham seems to be undeniable, as a star player. Jaden Ivey is going to be a good running mate. Jalen Duran's a fantastic center. And then on the Rockets, I think the issue with it is that Jalen Green needs to form a consistency that's over a full season. That's not every other game. That's not over a stretch of games because he's a fantastic player
Yeah.
and he's matured a lot year over year. I love to see it because in the beginning I thought, yo, this asshole ain't gonna go nowhere.
Hmm.
But he's matured year after year. They have Ime Udoka, who I've always, sung his praise as a head coach. It's
Hmm.
tough. I love both teams, though. I'll tell you that much. I'll tell you that much.
Hmm.
So I love both teams. I love me some Houston Rockets. Love me some Detroit Pistons, man. You
Hmm.
got any other takes on that?
No, I love it, man. I'm on that, man. You hit all of it. You nailed it into the board for me. We on.
Hell yeah. So,
All right, we're
let's have
synced.
some fun, man. Let's have some fun real quick.
Okay.
So, listen, last episode, me and Kem tried to do guess the player. Kem had an old moment. He came at me a little bit. He wasn't fully prepared. We deleted the footage, but like he couldn't guess Carmelo Anthony. Got a little mad, said, I want to redo next week. So we're gonna do a redo for Kem. And you know what? I'm gonna make this a fun segment where I I fucking get Kem upset with the player I choose every week.
Okay.
So yeah, I got a player that I'm thinking of. You have a player for me?
Yes.
Okay. So I got a player.
Hmm.
Um, no hints. Obviously, Kem gets 20 questions to try to narrow
Hmm.
down who it could be.
Hmm.
It's all up to Kem. Hopefully he don't get, mad this time. Let's see how it goes. I got a good player for you. So listen, man, whenever you're ready.
No, this one's on you. Yeah. Youth
Oh, you
before
want me to
Ruth.
guess the player first?
Yes, sir.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. I'll lead this off. Just give me 1 second here.
Hmm.
No bums, no bench warmers though.
No, not at all.
Okay. All right, because I want to be fair. We'll be here all night. All right, let's go. Is this player retired or are they active?
Active.
Active player. Okay. Do they play? I should ask that. Reminder, everyone. Yes or no questions. Second question here is: do they play in the East?
Yes.
They play in the East. Okay. Are they a guard?
No.
Okay, not a guard. All right, this is cool. Let me look at standings real quick. Look at teams. All right. Do they play for the Atlantic Division? So that would be the Celtics, Knicks, Nets, 76ers,
No.
Raptors. No, not in the Atlantic Division. All right. Do they play in the Southeast Division? Heat, Magic, Hawks,
No.
Hornets, Wizards. No. Okay, cool. So they play in the Central Division. They're not a
Hmm.
guard.
Hmm.
Okay. All right. Does this player play for the Bulls or Pistons?
No.
Okay, cool. No Bulls, no Pistons.
Hmm.
All right. Do they play for the Milwaukee Bucks?
No. All right. You didn't ask the most important question of all yet.
That's fine. That's fine. We're good.
Okay.
I'll get there. I'll get there.
Okay.
Do they play for the Cavs?
No,
So they play for the Pacers. Okay.
they
And they're
don't.
not a guard. So what options do we have? Is it Myles Turner?
Nope.
So it's not Myles Turner. Okay. Is it Pascal Siakam?
There you go. Good
Let's go.
call.
Oh, that was quick.
Good
Let's go.
call. Good call.
4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10 questions. There we
All
go.
right.
What
Bet
was the
you
what
get.
was the most important question I should have asked?
Well, you got it. You got it.
Okay.
It's okay. All right. Here we go.
All right, your turn, King. Let's see. You got to beat me in 10 questions.
All right. Let me get my thing together here. Are they on the East?
Um, like, did they play most of their career for the East, or are they currently on the East?
Oh, are they currently on the East?
No,
Are they an active player?
no,
Okay. Are they a guard?
yes.
So they're retired, they're on the West, and they're a guard.
Well, they're not on the. I said no to the East because because you asked if they were currently on the East.
Okay. So
But
did they play
I'll
their
get rid of that
did they
question. So
nope, did they play their career on the West Coast?
no. Well, like
Okay.
part of their career or most of their career.
Yeah, when they retired. Because
When
they're
they
not
retired,
active.
were they on the
Yeah.
West?
Yes.
Uh, let me see here. I believe so. I just got to check.
So I'm on 4 questions, I believe, or 3 questions.
Yeah, the last team that they played for was in the West.
Was a West Coast team, they were a guard. So they're retired West Coast guard. Okay. All right. And we said no bums.
No, no. So I'm never gonna give you a bum or some player
Never
that you
never
actually
gonna
can't
give me
get.
no bum. Okay, bet. Is this player a champion?
No.
Not an NBA champion. Okay.
Nope.
Okay. Hmm. Tim Hardaway?
No.
Okay. All right. So I'm at 8 questions or 6 questions. Sorry, one, two, three.
6.
6, right? Okay, I am at 6. All right, bet. So I got retired West Coast guard who's not a champ, who is not Tim Hardaway. Okay.
And remember, it's because you asked if they played last in the West.
If
Their
they
last
last played in
their last team
the
was in the
last
West.
team they played for
Not
was
that
in
they
the
played
West.
like majority of their career in the West or anything, but the last team that they were
Yeah,
on was a West.
you're trying to make this really tricky. Okay, here we go. All right, let's go. The last team they played for was on the West, and they're
Yep.
retired.
Yep.
Got you. Hmm. Did they retire from the Southwest Division?
Oh shit. All right, hold on, because I'm not versed with. Let me pull up the standings again. Did they retire in the Southwest Division?
Hmm.
No.
Okay. Were they a good shooter? Like three? Were they a good 3-point shooter?
I'll give you a cool hint. They shot 32% from three for their career. So whatever you want to do with that.
Yeah, that doesn't help. Thanks, though. 32%, depending on when they retired. That's
Well,
not too
I'll
bad.
say like the general narrative is that they weren't a good shooter.
Okay, but they shot 32% for their career from
Yeah.
three. Derrick Rose?
No, that was a good guess though. I feel like you're in the ballpark.
Okay.
This is your 10th question right here.
Oh man, Allen Iverson.
No,
Oh man, I'm. Oh man,
but you're in the realm. Fancy guards, man.
retired in the West. Oh, you got me.
You're gonna be like, just like when I hit you with the Carmelo Anthony one last time. You're gonna be like, oh fuck, because this is a good one. It goes with the theme of the episode. People robbing franchises of money.
Steph Marbury?
No.
No. Oh man, I'm at wait. 2, 3, 4, 5. Did they play point guard?
Yes.
All right, so they were point. All right, bet. Hmm.
And I'll give you one last hint. So they're not like, even though they're not active in the NBA and they probably won't ever be back, they're also not retired at the same time.
Oh really?
Yeah. So like they're not coming
Sharif?
back to the NBA. Like they're not coming back, but they're also like one of those players where like, oh yeah, I'll come back if a team gives me a contract.
Oh, Gilbert Arenas.
No. What the hell? He ain't coming
Uh,
back. He didn't retire yet?
Shit, man. Um, what?
This is good
Yo,
because you're when I said you were in the ballpark with Derrick Rose, when I tell you who this player is, you're gonna be like, ah, fuck.
yo. They said they would come back. Jamal Crawford?
No. You got 6 more questions.
Damn. I got to make sure that this was a beast because
I would try guessing the team that they played for majorly, and you might get it.
if they didn't play, if they only retired in the West, I would have been asking those kind of questions all day. So that's why I just kind of tried to concentrate it. Because I tried to.
Just remember, think about the theme of this episode so far, talking about people robbing franchises of money.
Yeah. You said they were a point guard.
Yep.
Uh huh.
Point guard, the very last team that they played on was in the West. They didn't win a ring. They're no
Yeah.
longer active. They
Yeah.
weren't known. They weren't known as a great shooter in the
Hmm.
realm of being a fancy point guard.
Baron Davis.
No, this is gonna be like when Inside the NBA asked Charles Barkley to guess the teams that
Yeah.
the bum players play for.
Yeah. I'm good. I'm good.
This
I'll
is,
give it to you. I concede.
all right, John Wall.
Oh man, I would have never picked him. He's a bum though, man. That would have been
Ain't
nobody
no
that I
bum.
picked. Nah, man, he wouldn't have been nobody I picked. He hasn't had sustainability. He's been hurt most of his career. I've never followed John Wall.
So when you
But
get further, like after you guessed if they were a good 3-point shooter,
mhm,
try what I would do is I would try to like guess what team they played for majorly. Like,
got you.
oh, did
I
they
mean,
spend most of their career in this division or whatever? Because if you would have found out that they played most of their career for the Wizards, you probably would have said Arenas or John Wall.
yeah.
You would have gotten it.
Yeah,
But yeah,
that
this
would
will be
have
good. I can't wait to keep
yeah.
pissing you off in this segment.
Like he's a bum though, bro. Like I wouldn't have
Yeah, come on, man.
he
John Wall
played
ain't no
what,
bum. He
5
just robbed
years?
Washington of mad money.
He played 5 years?
No. He had a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11-year career. Missed a lot at the end with injuries, but he was a 5-time All-Star. He
Yeah, and
got them
that's the
places
5 years I'm talking about. Yes.
that.
There it is. Yes. But okay,
All
I
right.
got
So
you.
what we're
Yeah,
gonna
that
do
was
now
great.
is we're gonna. So last
You got me.
time we drafted teams of players that were playing currently in the NBA. So what I want to do is that I want to do a wheel and pick teams, but of all-time players.
Got you.
So we're gonna build our teams with all-time players.
Yes.
Listen, y'all, Kem absolutely wiped the floor with me last time. It wasn't the best, but listen, we're gonna come back right now. Getting this wheel loaded. All right, do you want to go first or do you want to go second?
Nope.
You get to
I'll go
pick because
second. Yeah.
you go
Last
second.
time I went
All
first.
right,
Yep.
all right. So I'm spinning it right now,
Mm-hmm.
and my first team is gonna be the Denver Nuggets. All right.
Mm-hmm.
How do I want to start this? You know what, man? I could easily go with Melo, but I want to win some games. I'm gonna go with Nikola Jokic.
Okay.
Only because I want to win some games. Like if I was gonna put together like some crazy team, I'd probably have picked Melo, but I want
Mm-hmm.
to beat you. I want to put together a team that you can't beat. So
Okay.
let's go. I'm spinning the wheel for you now.
Mm-hmm.
All right, spinning the wheel, and you get the Utah Jazz. It's interesting. And now, just as a reminder, I know that there's some players that play these one-off years with these
No.
franchises, but if you pick that, you're going to get the talent that came with the time that they played.
Mm-hmm. Yep. And that's why I'm thinking right now. I'm going to go with the mailman, Karl Malone.
Ah, you lost.
I'm going with the mailman, Karl Malone.
The kid toucher, man.
No, he had a baby with a lady when she was really young.
13. Crazy shit.
But the mailman delivered.
Yeah, it's a good pick.
Yeah.
It's probably the best pick. All right, I got the Cleveland Cavaliers.
hmm
You know where I'm going.
Yeah, you better
LeBron
be.
James,
Yeah,
man.
you
LeBron
better be.
James.
Yeah, you better be.
LeBron
It
James.
looks
So I
like
got
you on a
LeBron and
roll
Jokic.
now.
I got a very
Yeah.
high IQ team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
hmm
So for you,
I gotta go with Kevin Durant.
okay. See,
2011,
your team. I think our
2012.
teams are still like, even though I got LeBron and Jokic, like they don't
Mm-hmm.
play the best defense in the world. So
Mm-hmm.
you got a good start there. All right. Who do I get? The Philadelphia 76ers. Okay.
Mm.
Whew. This is when things get interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Damn. You know, I'm gonna do something funny. All right. I'm gonna put Nikola Jokic at the power forward slot.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna draft Wilt Chamberlain.
Okay.
Y'all thought I was gonna go Embiid. Y'all thought I was gonna go
Mm-hmm.
Embiid. No, we're going with Wilt Chamberlain. All right,
Okay.
Cam.
Uh-huh.
Who you getting? Who you getting? The Toronto Raptors. Oof. You
Damn.
got some decisions to make.
Sure do, brother.
You go with
Mm.
VC.
Mm-mm.
You can grab the
Mm.
1 year of Kawhi.
Mm-mm. I got KD, mailman.
That's it so far.
Yeah. I'm gonna have to go with most people would pick the legend, Kyle Lowry or
You're
DeMar
going
DeRozan.
Kyle Lowry?
No, I said most people
Oh,
would pick the legend Kyle Lowry or DeMar DeRozan at their primes together, and even if they didn't win a chip, because we're making a team with the players that consisted
yeah.
of those guys. So I am actually going to go with Kawhi Leonard on that 1 year
Shooting
rental, and
guard?
that yes, as that cast of characters that he had with him. That's not a
Ooh, your
bad team.
team is spicy. I don't know. This is pretty good. It's gonna come down to these last picks here. This is good. This is
hmm
good. All right, I got the Chicago Bulls. Sorry, Cam.
Easy money.
Michael Jordan, man. So I got Jordan, LeBron, Jokic, and Will, but it's not over yet, man. You get the
Mm-hmm.
Lakers or you get something like that, someone with a top point guard, someone with a top center, you're in this.
Yeah.
Let's see
Come on.
here.
Let's go. Mm-hmm.
San Antonio Spurs.
Yeah, I'm getting exactly what I need in a big man right now.
Tim Duncan.
Hell no, I'm going with the Admiral, man. David Robinson.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I already got a power. I can't take him.
All right. So I just need a point guard.
Yeah. I got
The
to fill out my
Orlando
roster.
Magic. Um. So since I have to pick a point guard, I think the only option I have is Penny, right?
Ooh. Okay,
Right?
I'm happy to hear you have some old players.
Yeah. I mean, I got Penny Hardaway to round it out.
All
All right. So
right.
now you have to pick a point guard here. Obviously, if you
Yes.
really want, you can move someone around. Not that you would
Yep.
want to.
No, not none of
Here we
those guys.
go.
Let's give me who I
Who are you
want.
about to be stuck with? The Miami Heat, and you can't pick LeBron.
No, but that's okay. Hmm. I think what I'm going to do right now, right, is I'm going to move the mailman to the reserve position.
No
Dra-
reserves. No reserves,
no
brother. 1 through
reserves.
5. I would have put Shaq on my bench if I could.
Well, I got to, damn.
Yeah, that's why it was difficult. That's why I had to go with Penny. So I mean,
Mm.
like Miami Heat. Like, what
So
options
I'm
would
going to
you
have to
have?
go with, man, I got to go with young Tim
All right.
Hardaway Sr., brother.
Oh, Battle of
All
the
right.
Hardaways.
Yeah, I'm going young Tim Hardaway Sr., man.
All
Yeah.
right, that's fire. So
Yeah.
yeah, I got Penny Hardaway, Michael Jordan, LeBron James, Jokic, and Wilt Chamberlain. Crazy team. I got to run this in 2K. And you got Tim Hardaway Sr., Kawhi, Kevin Durant, Karl Malone, and the Admiral, Big
David
G. Dog.
Robinson. Yeah, I'm not mad at this squad. I'm not mad
Yeah,
at
no,
this
I
squad.
think I gotta. I'm gonna run this through 2K to see what happens. Hell
this is
yeah.
this is not a bad squad. Yours
So
is
yeah, that
fire.
was a good that was a good little segue. Good. If Myles Garrett goes to the Eagles though,
hmm
that's gonna be
hmm
some shit.
You know, the combine is lit this weekend. It's not really too much. It's just the combine lit
Yeah.
this weekend. You had Shador Sanders say some ill stuff on Mike that was kind of cool to talk about his confidence and talk about how any team that would draft him would know what they're getting. You know what I mean? With how he does deliver the ball. Everybody knows he's not the best gifted athlete, but he does have the best touch out of pretty much all the top quarterbacks that are in there under duress, everything like that, being highly slacked and everything like that. It's going to be a good look for him. But it was good to hear him say and talk about like he's used to what is going on. Like, you know what I mean? He's a Sanders. His family was built for that. So I'm kind of looking forward to
Yeah.
kind of seeing what goes on in that
I'm not
realm.
gonna lie. I'm big on him. I think
Yeah.
he's gonna. As long as he's not in a like complete like shitty
Yeah.
situation,
Yes,
I think he's
man.
gonna succeed,
Yes.
man.
Yes, man. I do
I
too.
think he's gonna succeed. And yeah, yo,
hmm
Myles Garrett, these rumors that he might go to the Eagles. If he goes to the Eagles, it's gonna be
hmm
like one of them unfair, like
Yeah, totally
you know,
unfair. It's lopsided.
like
Because all them young boys, because all the majority of the D is
they're all on
all
rookie contracts.
yeah, bro. Like, sheesh.
Like the Slay contract is off our books, so we can more than afford
hmm
the salary cap went up.
Yes.
Um,
hmm
it's definitely huge out there. Is there
Yeah.
anything? I don't think. I mean, I thought I was gonna bring up that the Rams were willing to start Jimmy Garoppolo, which would have been hilarious, but they obviously have Matthew
Right.
Stafford.
hmm
Some of these reports that oh yeah, Dak Prescott's in the media just being absolutely stupid this offseason,
Yeah,
saying
he
like,
doing
oh, if I was healthy,
yeah, he
like
doing the Jerry Jones stuff.
it would have
Yeah.
never been the
He learned
Cowboys.
from the best.
So moving on to some quick little baseball talk. You got anything for me for this?
Yeah, man, I got a couple questions for you, man, in all honesty, man. Because I gotta be honest with you, unless you know my fair way into sports was through baseball. So it was kind of
Okay.
cool to hear you highlight something earlier in our conversation for our viewers and listeners and everything about the hand-eye coordination and how much it actually goes into pitching. The crazy thing about it is that was the first position that I learned how to play, right? That was what I was ordained to play baseball in. You know how
Yeah.
like you're picked to do something in baseball? So the first thing that I learned how to do, man, was actually throw a split finger fastball, a good cutter, you know what I mean? Things like that at a very young age. So I
Right.
actually went from pitching to first base. Wasn't really a good batter because I was always thinking about getting back to the mound. So it was like something that I do understand as you're talking about people being two-way and being able to do those things. So it's something that's people don't talk about that goes into sports anyway, but it's something that I would love to hear your opinion on as I have a couple of questions, right? So the first one that I wanted to ask you about was why do you think there was a stalemate with Toronto and Vlad Guerrero Jr.?
Oh man, I'm actually glad you bring that up. That's actually an interesting, topic. So when
Hmm.
it comes to Toronto and Vladdy, um, I just think Toronto's front office is being run kind of stupidly, man.
Okay.
Like they amassed all of this talent and then just kind of just let it be,
Hmm.
and like they aren't doing much to improve their roster. I mean, I guess getting George Springer and some of the other additions that they've gotten. Was an attempt, but it's if you see what was supposed to happen and what was talked about, right?
Hmm.
Toronto's supposed to be this big up and coming team. They got
Hmm.
Vladdy Jr. They got all the sons. They got
Hmm.
Vladdy. They got
Hmm.
Obichet. They got the pitching
Hmm.
rotation. They got everything. And then to be where they are now, where they're about to get rid of everyone, most likely after this year. I just think like when it comes to the Blue Jays, do I think that they should give the money to Vlad? Absolutely. But on the other end, I don't think I don't think they want to commit, man. I think they kind of just want to wash their hands clean of this version of their franchise,
Okay.
build towards the future. I think he'll absolutely be traded at the trade deadline if they don't give him a
Hmm.
contract. They'd be stupid not to because he's not going to resign there if he touches the
Hmm.
offseason. He's going to
Okay.
be getting like money thrown at him by the Yankees, by the Dodgers, by whatever
Hmm.
team. He's not staying on no Toronto fucking Blue Jays. So my hope for the Toronto Blue Jays is that they trade him. He'll probably spend half a year on a team that is like happens to be in playoff contention. See where
Hmm.
that goes,
Hmm.
and then he'll sign with somebody else in the offseason. But that's truly what I think. I just think Toronto, they're not as smart as everyone had panned them out to be because of all the talent that they collected. Because
Okay.
again, they have great pitching and they did have great hitting at one point, but
Hmm.
Vlad can't carry the whole lineup. You know what I mean?
Right.
And even he's on and off himself. So yeah,
Okay.
good question.
Speaking
Go ahead.
of, nice segue, man, into pitching. Do you believe the Dodgers bullpen is the best bullpen in baseball?
Oh man, so that's the thing. Like bullpens have gone so down in quality. I haven't done too much research
Hmm.
on bullpens.
So they got
I
a
mean,
lot
I would
of.
just say because it's the Dodgers. So the thing
Hmm.
with the Dodgers that's going to be interesting is that they have about 7 or 8 starting pitchers that
Yeah,
should
that's
be
why
on
I'm
the major
asking.
league level. So they're going to have to move a couple of them to the bullpen,
Hmm.
and if they're going to depending on who they move to the bullpen, I'm gonna say yes,
Okay.
tentatively,
Okay.
without much research. I do think there's bullpens out there like the Minnesota Twins, how they have the two-headed beast with Griffin Jacks and, Joan Duran.
Hmm.
Um, I think they have a good bullpen out there. Kansas City always has a good bullpen. I think the Yankees have an amazing bullpen going into the year.
Hmm.
But, I would agree without looking too much into it.
Okay, cool. All right, so I want to ask you another question about something that we spoke about earlier, and it's kind of cool
Oh,
that it lined up, right? Because
yeah.
knowing that the MLB lost its contract with ESPN, like kind of going forward in 2025, right? Um, what would you tell the casual fan like to tune into, right? To stay excited, you know what I mean, about the MLB throughout the season. Like that was literally one of my questions. Like,
Yeah.
so knowing that, the contract is going to be up here soon and everything like that, for the casual fan, what do you suggest for them? You know what I mean? Knowing that we get a lot of content in a lot of different ways, but to stay up on the sport, to stay in love with the sport and things like that, knowing that that's going to happen, what do you suggest for the casual fan to stay up?
Yeah, I think what has to happen if you're a casual fan is you got to find a way to watch MLB Network, man. Like big
Hmm.
shout out to MLB Network. I think the coverage that goes into MLB Network, I think, blows away what NBA and NFL does outside of their major networks.
Okay.
Obviously, NBA and NFL have the advantage
Mm-hmm.
of being on, more national
Mm-hmm.
TV, and their national TV coverage is amazing.
Mm-hmm.
But when it comes to baseball, I think MLB Network, you got a lot of shows that you can tune into. Quick Pitch on its own, which gives you
Mm-hmm.
the recap of games every single
Mm-hmm.
night.
Okay.
It's very entertaining. It's very easily watchable. And like I said, they got a whole bunch of other shows. They got a ton of interviews that they always do. They throw a lot of historical shit on there. So I mean, if I'm trying to get into baseball and I'm a casual fan, I would just try to find a way to get a stream of MLB Network or
Fire.
whatever
Okay.
the case may be. Because it's hard because it's all spread throughout. Like the games now are all going to be spread throughout all these streaming services.
Uh-huh.
You can get MLB TV, which I have every year, but what it is what it is, King.
Okay. No problem. All right. Last question. Kind of lighthearted one. All
I
right.
like this. I like this.
All right, cool. So what do you think about the Yankees, our Yankees? You know what I mean? Now
Your
allowing
Yankees.
players to, oh, well, home state league. All right. All right. What do you think about the Yankees now allowing players to have facial hair? It's a weird rule that the Yankees had in their bylaw since 1976.
For
49-year-old fucking rule,
yeah.
bro, where they couldn't
First,
wear beard.
I like the rule because it's like it makes you different. Like I
Okay.
know the Yankees already with all their championships and
Hmm.
everything, all their legends, like they're already separated from the rest of
Hmm.
the league.
Uh-huh.
But I like the facial hair policy because it's like it's cool. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Like
Hmm.
it's like they're there to do business. Like it's the New York Yankees. You know what I
Hmm.
mean?
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, man, I don't think it matters if a player has a beard or not. Like people are like losing their shit
Yeah,
online about
right.
stuff,
Yeah,
bro.
that's why I had to ask.
Because before the rule was, everyone
Hmm.
was like, "Oh, let the players have their beards." I'm like, "Why are you watching baseball to see if a player has a beard or not anyway?" And then, like, when the rule is taken away, like, people are still, flipping out,
Hmm.
whatever. I think the whole thing is just silly. But I thought it was cool. But either way, I'm not watching baseball to see, who has the most stylish beard or who's
Right.
shaved or who's not. Like, I don't give a shit.
Uh-huh.
Like, you know what I mean?
Real talk.
Almost done, Mama. Okay. Yeah, we're almost done. We're wrapping it up here. Yeah, so in regards to baseball, real quick, what I wanted to do on my own is I wanted to give a player to watch for in every single division, which would be 6 players. So for the AL East, I'm gonna go towards the Baltimore Orioles. I'm going with my guy Gunnar Henderson. I think I said he was gonna have a big year last year. He did. I'm gonna double down and say he's gonna have another big year this year. I think depending on that, if he has a big year, keep letting the young guys develop. The Orioles will have a chance this year to compete. They have an okay, pitching, staff. Their bullpen's good, but I think a lot of it will fall on the shoulders of their star player Gunner. And the AL Central player that I have to watch out for the most. One set. Oh yeah, I got Cole Reagans of the Kansas City Royals. He had a very good year last year. Big strikeout pitcher,
Okay.
very underrated guy. Not a lot of people, hear about him because he is on the Royals, but he's a big power pitcher. And if he can develop into the top ace definitively on that rotation, it'll give them a lot of clarity and keep them, moving, pushing forward. And then another player that I just wanted to shout out, I think Riley Green's going to have a good year for the Tigers. He's been here for a couple years. He was a big rookie. He's a big player. I think he's gonna, gel perfectly this year. And the AL West, um, AL West, you know what? I want to go with the Seattle Mariners. I want to be basic. I think Julio Rodriguez has a bounce back year. After all the sponsorships, the big contract, all the noise that Julio Rodriguez had, he fell on his face last year. It was due. He was due to have a fall on his face season, but I think he's going to rebound. He's going to be a top player in the league still. Definitely watch out for him. So in the NL East, I'm going to my guys. I'm going to the Washington Nationals, baby. Watch out for James Wood, big rookie last year. I think he, big boy out there in Washington. I love James Wood. He has power. He hits to all sides of the fields. He's starting to develop patience. He's a decent fielder. He's, got that low key speed for a big guy. I love Dylan Cruz, but I think the big spotlight should be on James Wood. In the NL Central, I'm going with not Paul Skeens, but I'm going with his running mate, Jared Jones. Fantastic pitcher that did not get all of the, spotlight that I felt like he deserved because obviously Paul Skeens is amazing. He's one of the greatest things since sliced bread. But I think Jared Jones should get some love. And then in the NL West, I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna go to the San Francisco Giants. Bryce Eldridge, he hit a 400-foot bomb the other day in spring training. I think if he can come up to the big leagues, I believe he's 20. If he can come up to the big leagues and keep doing what he's been doing this whole time, them Giants are going to be a team you got to watch out for. And that wraps it up for the MLB segments.
Just
All right,
give me
cool. Minute to win it. Should the tush push be banned?
no. I think it's kind of crazy that it's even a topic that's been broached. Like at the end of the day, like Philadelphia, Jeffrey Lurie, the organization. I said Jeffrey Lurie. Excuse me. Rewind. Get that out of there. Philadelphia, right? We got to give it up to ownership, who gave it over to the GM, who lets these guys pick exactly what they need. In Philadelphia, we talked so bad about the Sixers, but the Eagles actually have a design, a blueprint, and an architect, and they're actually carrying it out.
Massive.
You know what I mean? They are carrying it out, and what that has done has enabled them to have the personnel to be able to do the tush push. Now, the great thing about that is you also have a quarterback that squats 600. So the average quarterback in that position is normally going to get hurt. The crazy thing about it is we also have data of Patrick Mahomes using the tush push before he ended up like breaking his kneecap or something like that, popping his kneecap or something. Like something
Yeah.
crazy happened to him from doing like the tush push. So we already know that it's based upon personnel, you know what I mean, and the grouping. I think that it being brought up in the combine by head coach Matt LaFleur, who was the one who actually petitioned to try to get the push tush banned. I think it's
What a
because
loser.
yeah, it's kind of crazy to me, man. It doesn't make sense. It's all sports has always been about, you know what I mean, gaining some sort of leverage or advantage that you're able to expose so that you're able to overtake and eventually win. So that's what sports has always been about. Mismatches, matchups, and everything like that. And the tush push is a matchup
Yeah.
that they
And I'm
expose.
gonna I'm gonna basically just agree with everything you just said. I think it's sad that they're trying to take it. It is people say it's not a football play. It is a
Like
whole
it's
bunch of
crazy, bro.
sweaty dudes just pushing each
Like,
other
come
into the
on, bro.
fucking end goal. Come on, brotherly shove, tush
Hmm.
push, you know, whatever you want to call it, it should stay. And that's not just because I'm an Eagles fan, but
Hmm.
what team should grab Myles Garrett? For me, I think it's low hanging fruit. I got the Eagles. I mean, if the Eagles get
Hmm.
Myles Garrett, that's just like that. It's unfair. I think it's broke. I think the Eagles will just punch their ticket to the Super Bowl just off of that move alone.
Hmm. Well, I think that if I'm being honest with you, the team that I think should get him should be somebody like the Dallas Cowboys. Okay, a team like
That
the
would be a
Dallas Cowboys.
nasty duo.
Yeah, they need a splash over there with Dak Prescott. I mean, of course, they got Michael Parsons on the back end. You know what I mean, doing what he does. You know what I mean. But and they got Bland. They got a couple of pieces, but they actually need something like Myles Garrett to go along with that big Jerry's place that they play in, and you know what I mean? Like they need more names to go with it. They don't have any good running backs in the room yet. None of that stuff is there. So I think it'd be a great place for him. But I also believe that Cleveland would be crazy to let him go. You know what I mean? Now we'll see if he's willing to start sitting out and they're just gonna have to trade him. But at the end of the day, they're saying that they're not
I
gonna
don't.
trade
Yeah, if he sits out, that'll hurt his legacy. His legacy's
him.
strong. He's a Hall of Famer right now,
Hmm.
so I hope you don't
Hmm.
do that.
Hmm.
Are the Pacers a threat?
No. And I'm not even gonna take a minute on that. They are not.
Yeah,
I
no, I
think
agree. I think their run last year was just fool's gold, and that's
hmm.
just a lot of
Yes.
people got injured.
Yep.
You know, it's like in a gang war, a lot of people get hurt, and
Hmm.
just so happens there's these couple dudes that are just in spots that they shouldn't be in.
Yeah, and it's not a
Um,
great free agent destination, so you're not gonna ever, you know what I mean? Like
yeah.
it's not gonna happen. Mhm.
Is Kevin Durant's legacy cooked without a ring?
No.
I say yeah, okay, good. I say no, man. I think he changed the game a little bit. Tall guy
Hmm.
that can shoot. He
Hmm.
was one of the first. I mean, I know,
Hmm.
there was Dirk, there was a couple people, but he
Hmm.
ultimately hit the nail in the coffin with that. an extraordinary talent. I think he went to the Warriors and I want to say carried, but like he dominated on the Warriors. They won those rings because of him. I mean,
Hmm.
the collection of talent was there, yeah. But I think Kevin Durant, his legacy is stamped. I just think another ring would get him in the top 10 definitively all
Hmm.
time. That's all I think.
Yeah, legacy is not cooked without having a ring, without getting another ring. I agree with that sentiment. The two finals that he appeared in, he got Finals MVP on both of them. Again, like you said, he definitely carried. I believe that just at this point of his career, he's just a higher gun. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with that. Now,
Yeah,
talking about
that's
the
a good
team that
point.
you were talking about earlier that is on the rise, I think that he would do much well to go to somewhere like Houston. You know what I mean? Like that would be somewhere where he would be able to just help them get over, you know what I mean, over the hump. Now
I
that's
love
something
that.
that we could maybe talk about at another time, but of course not. His legacy is not cooked without another ring. We know who he is, the easy money sniper. He don't want you to know he's 7'1" because he don't want you to put a big man on him and have him be embarrassed. So at the end of the day,
Exactly.
let's play.
Yeah,
Yes.
I got do the Lakers have a chance at the chip?
Absolutely. Absolutely, they do. Now, this might take a little bit more than a minute, but I am going to do this because we are at the end of our time on this episode, right? So I just want to go ahead and say I want to give a shout out to JJ Redick. Now, he came in and took the helm at a very, very
He's
tumultuous
a very good
time.
coach.
We remember the end of the year last year when we were in the playoffs and Anthony Davis ended up saying that there are sometimes we don't even know what we're doing in our schemes, alluding to the coach Darvin Ham not knowing what to be done in said situations. So knowing now that we have JJ Redick, who has now identified our team, has given our team an identity through coaching and through the players that we have, who we know who these players are, but have an identity through his coaching. We don't have a true big aside from Jackson Hayes, but we do have a defensive identity that is being showed through our winning, you know what I mean, that we have been doing even before acquiring Luca this year. You know what I mean? So it's a great thing, man. And we do have a shot. We're only a couple of games out of second. You know what I mean? And again, with speaking about our new defensive identity, I think that it is going to propel us even higher, man. So shouts out to JJ Redick. And again, yes, we do have a chance.
Yeah.
It's on here.
Um, I I want to say yes so bad, man. I really do. I like the way LeBron has a new breath of fresh air now that Luka's there.
Hmm.
I like what Austin Reeves is doing.
Hmm.
Luka's been, he's been iffy, but we know what he's gonna give up
Hmm.
in the playoffs. I
Hmm.
just some of these other teams are so deep, they're so tough.
Hmm.
It's hard for me to say that the Lakers over a 7-game series can beat some of these juggernauts in the West because they weren't able to get that big center. They weren't able to fill out the rest of their depth. I just think they're going to fall short against a team that just tires them out, takes them 6-7, and just blows them out of the water by the end of the series. But that's not saying that they don't have a chance in the
But who?
future. I
But
love the
who?
Lakers moving forward, but
But who right now can do that to the Lakers? None
who
of those
right now
teams,
can do
yeah,
that?
none of those teams are tested
I think
besides
I think
Denver.
the Thunder can. I think the Grizzlies would rip this Lakers team apart. I think I don't know if the Warriors can beat them over 7, but I think
Okay.
the two most important teams would be the
Hmm.
Grizzlies and the Thunder. And I know this might contradict what I've said, but I think if the Dallas Mavericks get in there healthy with the full team that they will have on the court,
Without a question.
especially Kyrie on one end and Anthony Davis on the other, it's going to be hard because the Lakers can't guard the point guard position and they can't guard the big man position. So if a team comes in
We can
like the
guard the
Grizzlies
big man
did,
position now, just not
yeah,
the point
like
guard.
the
Yeah.
combo, it's going to be tough for the Lakers
Yeah.
to win over a 7-game
Mhm.
series. But all right, man. Last question. We are out. Are the Knicks fool's gold?
Absolutely, man. I took my time on the Lakers. I'm sorry, guys, but it always shows up when we have a big game. Now, we did there was a lot of press around the return of the big man and everything like that. But we also see, you know what I mean, what it looks like now that the big man is back. Now, of course, he do has to get a little bit healthy, okay, but defense has not been the identity of the New York Knicks this year. Now, the bad thing about this is that the offensive output that we're not used to seeing with the New York Knicks, we're now seeing. They are playing pleasurable basketball at times, but they are not utilizing Mikal Bridges the way that he needs to be utilized. I understand that Jalen Brunson is a bucket, okay, but he's very you can telegraph what Jalen Brunson is going to do. This is why they have not beaten none of the top teams yet. Okay. Now, at the end of the day, all right, I live in the great state of New York, and I did tell you about how bad it feels that New York is not winning. But we need to do a little bit more with this Knicks roster, okay? We need to do a little bit more. I listen, I don't even know why I don't even know how Julius Randle was a part of the package deal. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Because we needed some sort of girth there, but I can go on this for days. I just do not like how the addition of Cat has diminished the usage of Mikal Bridges, you know what I mean? And it's not linear across the three, you know what I mean? Where it would also be the best roster in basketball, you know what I mean? With OG Anunoby, Cat, it's a crazy thing. At least a starting lineup. So at the end of the day, we always knew that Cat was a liability on defense. You know what I mean? But I don't know, man. Moving him to the four, you know what I mean? Getting the big guy back. I mean, I'm happy that he's back. You know what I mean? But it's everything depending on him doesn't bode well
Man,
for
I'm
me
I'm
either.
glad this podcast is over after this, man, because you just pissed me off.
You know what I'm saying? Go ahead. Go
Look,
ahead though.
man, I think you're wrong about so many things there. I
Okay.
just think when Mitchell Robinson comes back,
He's
he's
back.
gonna put Cat into the four position. I think what they've given up on defense, they've gained on offense. I think they're still finding their chemistry throughout the season, and I know we're almost done with the season. But I think it's all going to come together. When you say Mikal Bridges hasn't been used correctly, I think we got fooled into thinking that he should be a number one, this big time player with the ball. But that didn't lead to winning basketball in Brooklyn. His Mikal Bridges winning basketball is being a great defender and not being a first or second option. And he's having a great year. He's having one of the best seasons of his career, low key. You know what I mean? Very low key. He's having a very good shooting season. He's putting up stats. He's been the
Very high
guy.
key.
He's
They
been
haven't
very
beaten any of the top
reliable.
teams.
Huh?
Very high key though. They haven't beaten any of the top teams with his
And
usage.
that's why this is
Yeah.
the regular season. They're getting the kinks out. I think as long the goal for the Knicks is to get into the playoffs healthy. If this Knicks team gets into the playoffs healthy, they have as much of a chance as anybody else. And what I mean by healthy is they need Mitchell Robinson in there in that center position because Cat cannot play center. And it alludes to what you were saying. Because and what I've been saying this whole year, if Cat is left at that center position, he's going to get exposed, which is why part of our defense is so bad, is because teams bum rush Jalen Brunson and they bum rush Cat. They can't guard, players that are attacking them. So, when it comes to OG and Michael, they can be used a little bit better. But I think it'll all work out by the time we get to the playoffs. I think the Knicks have as good of a chance as anybody in this whole fucking league. And with that being said, I'm not even gonna let Kim get a reply
Nope. I'm
there.
not even going
make sure
to.
make sure you confetti. Make sure you guys like, subscribe, share, leave some feedback. We're gonna get out of here. We're on the up. We got a lot more ideas coming out. So just make sure you are here. Have a good day, night, all of that good stuff.